there's no getting away that this is a harsh place to be. You're away from your family and your loved ones, and it can be a very stressful environment. So what better way than to relieve that stress than to go out there, lift weights, run, play handball, play basketball.
You hear the stereotype of prisons, from the outside, and you hear how people talk and that, oh, they're in prison, they don't have, nothing going on at all.
The inmates here definitely have got greater opportunities than a lot of other facilities.
We're not trying to make it a country club, but we want it to be nicer than it was.
I call it a gated community. They just don't let us go to the store.
Do we deserve it? Maybe a lot of us don't.
When you try and do things that are new, there's always room for things to go wrong. But with the team we've got here, it's like, I think it's going to work.
Pretty close. I think I'm going to do outfield goal.
We have a high side, which is more of our high-risk inmates who have a series of programs and expectations to go through, which is a much more restrictive environment until they get to what we call the low side, which is a lot less restrictive, a lot more movement. And then we do have one maximum security lockup unit for inmates who commit rule violations, major rule violations here. On the low side, we have the 4 units, and the units are they're not traditional cells. They're actually rooms on the low side. It's kind of a college dorm kind of feel over there.
You got your unit all squared away up there?
Guess so.
You guess so? Yeah. That's not a good answer.
We have a gymnasium on the low side, which has a full basketball court, a lot of free weights, and also weights outside. And we have 2 officers who are assigned to supervise that area, and they also outside have additional weights, and they have a softball field and a handball court and a running track. We have the same on the high side. It's just a little more restrictive, same amount of time, but it's kind of cut down a little bit the amount of resources they have, because the goal is to have them be motivated to get from the high side to get over to the low side to get more privilege.
I love sports growing up, playing baseball, basketball, football, everything, running track. It was a way to be positive, instead of doing all the trouble I was in. I was always getting in trouble. Sports was an out for me to not get in trouble. I thought when I come to this prison that I didn't know about the sports. I didn't know what to expect. I expected it to be a little bit worse than it is. And when I came over here to the low side and saw that we had baseball and basketball and weights and everything, it was something I wanted to be a part of, so I made sure I got into that as soon as I could. I think sports means a lot to everybody in here. It's a release. It gets you outside of your, I don't know, how do you say it, outside of yourself. When you ain't got nothing to do, this is what you come out to do, and everybody here loves to play sports. Pretty much means everything.
I'm the horseshoe guy, so...
You're a horseshoe guy?
Yeah, so I play horseshoes, and I volunteer to help out and set up tournaments and games and stuff like that.
Here we go.
Line up.
Yeah.
Got the game. Point.
Well, I worked in Max, so I was on the high side. I was in federal prison, so I know the prison life of what the difference is between federal and state and high side, low side. Once you get to this low side, it's amazing. You get so much more. It's like, wow, I just got out.
You get to watch your sports, any sport, pretty much, hockey, baseball, basketball, college or pro. You get to watch them all. And It's just whoever they decide to put on the local news, decide to put on the TV for you, whichever one's more popular, I guess.
We can order TV guides, so that lets us know what games are on, and a lot of us will get together and maybe sit down in the day room, watch the game together.
They have TV, they're always following football, and they get their magazines and things like that. So obviously they're all excited about the football season and doing stuff like that. So that's important too, that's a little touch of, not a touch of home, but it keeps you in touch with the community and something normal. So that's real big, especially the football season.
So everybody loves watching their football team. A lot of them are in here are Seahawk fans, a lot of them. That's another outlet for me in itself. Besides the weights and the sports, the TV is definitely an outlet for you.
So I'm the low side gym officer. I'm technically in charge of the low side gym. Marty's the low rack officer. He's in charge of the low rack yard, although we switch out.
B&C units, your gym is returning. Time to go! Time to go!
Well, it's its own little community here. I mean, this is a community, MSP, and these guys live here, every day of the year. So, and it's like we tell the inmates, this is your gym. We're here to make sure you guys just all play by the rules. So take care of it, and they do.
I mean, there's only 2 of them out there interacting with a lot of inmates, and they have a lot of respect from the inmates. They're strong officers who don't play games, but will pull someone aside and go, hey, you're getting heated. Why don't you take a walk and touch and base with them? And they care about doing a professional job.
You just gotta build a good rapport with the inmates that come over. I mean, there are inmates that come over every single day, 7 days a week. They're here for both gym periods. And you can build a good rapport with them. You got to be very cautious. Just keep your head on a swivel.
We don't have guns inside the units. We don't have a lot of guys walking around. We don't have anyone walking around with batons and things like that. It's really a system that is really emphasizing people communicating, correctional officers communicating with inmates, and it's not bullying. We're not knuckle draggers.
These games, they're getting wild. Several people got hit the other night out there.
I mean, obviously this is a good post to work, especially, Marty he was a coach, I was a football coach. Marty played sports, I played sports my whole life. So, the right officers are here right now for this program and what we do down here at MSP and the low side gym and the rec yards.
We tried to, Officer DeLong and myself, we tried to when we first came in here. We've both been here about 9 months or so. And we wanted to make it, we're not trying to make it a country club, but we want it to be nicer than it was. We want to give these inmates opportunities.
Good eye, little short. Good eye. No, I for both. Good eye, bam, he cut.
But they're doing things like that, and having our inmates work in a more of an organized team sport like they're creating out here, I think that can only benefit, the facility. And I think it only benefit these guys to develop relationships and recognize we're all a lot alike when it might be an individual they usually wouldn't associate with. And so I commend them both.
Mr. DeLong and Mr. Bewley have been the best we've ever had. They are out to help us organize different games, softball, volleyball, basketball, handball. They're putting on tournaments, and that's just teams, camaraderie, to get people out of a mindset of what put them here to a mindset to help them to get out.
Little high, bring it down a little bit.
Softball's, the most popular, then basketball's a close second.
Softball, by far softball. Why? It's just so, it gets so comical. It does. You'll get the good teams, and then you'll get the bad news bears. Out there, you never know what's going to happen. Even when you're out walking the track and they're playing softball, you're constantly watching for that one mistake so you get a good laugh. I mean, it's sometimes better than cartoons on TV, I mean, it's not your abilities, it's just to go out and have fun.
Got one man on first, batter's up. It's a fly ball, center field, and it's over his head, and he runs to second, and he's safe, both of them, second and first. Thank you for watching us here today on ESPN, the Entertainment Sports Prison Network.
Come on, baby, come on.
You know, it's just like I think when you're out there on the street, when you're playing on a team, I think everybody comes in and got good teamwork amongst everybody, and everybody's just enjoying it.
I got a right-handed mitt. A little deeper.
6 to 12. Come on, baby.
Everybody here loves this sport. I mean, we got 8 teams, and all 8 compete really hard to try to get to that championship.
Don't stop, run your ass off. All good, dude. Go, go, go.
And I think that goes with anything. If you're a kid playing Little League or if you're, professional, baseball player, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to compete. I think that's just part of life.
Here you go, Jordan. Take it up. You're on, go, all the way. Come on, Jordan.
You can never forget you're in prison. And it's really not, they're smiling, it's like, oh, I'm not here. It's just a temporary release to where they can have some fun, feel proud, winning a game, high-fiving.
Boy knows how to play. Big boy knows how to play.
Develop relationships with other people and feel good about things and laugh for a minute. As I said, once they go back to their cell house and, it's a cold place.
So we're dealing with higher security inmates, people who can't necessarily have as much leeway, a lot of wild cards per se.
I've been a gym worker for since last December. It pays $1.50, I believe, a day, but it's work. It keeps me out of trouble. I get to mingle with people. Well, I know that they got a little bit more stuff over there. I haven't been to the low side, so people talk about the low side. It sounds good, you know what I mean? So for low side, that's my goal, is to get over there, but I have to get my points dropped.
It's based on a risk factor score and it's scoring, and I said, but it's a lot of times we have some flexibility, and that's why we take so long to do an assessment in an intake facility. Our goal is always put them in the least restrictive environment to where they can safely interact with other inmates, and our staff can be here be safe and present them with the opportunity to better themselves.
But the point system is, to let you know where you're at. My write-ups are 3-year write-ups, so I'm going to be sitting here for 3 years before I can get over there.
Well, I was on the low side about 3 years ago, and it's pretty nice over there. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to go over there or whatever, but really they're just BSing themselves, because that's the place to be. It's just a major, it really is two different worlds. Over there, everybody's more relaxed and chill or whatever. And for us over here, sometimes, the tension gets pretty high, and it's more of a wild bunch, I guess you could say. Some people over here don't have things to lose. They're already maxed out, and it doesn't really matter to them.
A lot of people are lost in here. A lot of people are lost, and they're trying to find out who they are. And they already stepped in this corrections. They already stepped in prison. But without gym, without all that, you'd be challenged. It's the high side 1,000 pounds. It's for the bench, squat, and deadlift, the total of it. And I'm number 2 at 325 bench, 385 squat, and 430 deadlift.
Also, it gives people something to do, so it ain't so monotonous. Same thing over and over. It's just like more things to look forward to doing, so it ain't like Groundhog's Day, you know, where things be the same thing all the time.
That's what's been going on for a long time, is because people are acting out, and then we're getting a lot of stuff changed. We want to respect and keep that. So that keeps a lot of people in check.
Whatever drama or stuff you got going on, keep that somewhere else. Don't bring that over here, because we're working hard to keep this place looking nice.
Without this, it would be a lot more animosity, because without this, somebody else is going to find something to do, and that might not be a good thing. Stirring up trouble for nothing.
You can tell when they haven't had the ability to go out. There was a couple days where we were locked down. It gets tense. You can tell. You can cut the tension with a knife.
And you feel that makes, when they're able to, that makes your job safer, right?
It makes a big difference.
Here, it's all about respect. You know, you got to respect each other and get along, and we know that.
Yeah, we haven't had too many problems here in the gym. You know, we get a little bit of, shoving occasionally, because it is competitive, and especially during the basketball season, it seems to be a little bit more competitive.
It's a rarity that does happen. I've been in here 4 years, and I've seen it one time, but as soon as it did, then the guys get together on the team and they go up and they calm it down and they talk to them, and things start, they go back playing.
As far as any incidences with weights, I can't remember of any on the low side, you know, as far as like being used as a weapon or anything like that.
I'm personally not a big fan of free weights, but I think you have to give before you can take, so to speak. And I think every inmate, when I got here, they were very nervous. That was the rumor. I was taking all the free weights, and I said, well, I will if you give me a reason to.
Get it. That's good.
It's like, kind of like the good old boys. You know, you're out having a beer or something and somebody gets rowdy and, well, we're going to go outside. No, let's just have another beer. It's not worth it. You know, it's not worth losing things, because we have found out in any setting, like as an inmate, you find out that you lose things if you break the rules, which is only fair.
1, 2. To police ourselves, we just tell everybody, hey, just make sure you pick up after yourself, because you guys know that if you don't, they're going to start taking this stuff away from you. So that's how we police ourselves.
There's no color. We're all the same, we're all equal. Your crime doesn't matter. You as a human being, as I am a human being, and we get along. And that's what it's about.
What do you think this place would be like if there were no sports?
I think you'd have a lot more problems. I think you'd have a lot more fights. And the reason I say that is because you're leaving us with nothing. Now, granted, do we deserve it? You know, maybe a lot of us don't. But you got to have some kind of outlet to have. You know, you got to have an outlet here. And for a lot of guys, it's the gym.
You know, not my place to really, judge whether, they're able to have that or not. But the thing about it is, it's, a positive thing to have here.
You know, I get it all the time, actually, on the outside. Oh, they should, they don't deserve having, anything in there. They're all criminals. I look at it that if the inmates are staying busy and they got things to look forward to, they're happier inmates, which makes them easier, for us to control.
The sports and everything are funded. All the equipment is from the inmate welfare fund, which is from the commissary, the cost of them using the phone. So there's not a financial burden. And as I said, I think the skills and the benefit of doing it outweigh the negative. It's a way to release tension, less violence. It's a tool to take away. If we are having issues with it, they have to earn the privilege. And it's, as I said, I think I don't see how you could argue that it's negative.
People just get along better when they have something in common. If we don't have something in common and we're sitting idle, what else is there to do? Think of ways to get in trouble. So there's less problems.
A lot of these guys live for the opportunity to play the sports here. I mean, that's their whole life. They don't have nothing else really to look forward to. So if they didn't have it, I can see a lot of problems, you know, rising up.
Come on, get in there. You're good, you're good, you're good. You're good, hold it.
We can never forget these guys are going home, and I don't see how you develop skills to interact with people, how to communicate, and to know what's expected and deal with their issues if you're locked up. It doesn't work. It's proven it doesn't work.
Without this, it's hard to say what this would really be like. I mean, I've been in other prisons, I've been in places in this prison where it's not so nice. And you can tell the people that are in those places are not so nice because they don't have this.
A lot of states and a lot of systems are still focused in just lock them up and we've done our job. And I think for Montana to really looking at recidivism rates and doing everything we can that when these guys leave, get in the community, they don't create a new victim. And I think that's why we're doing some things that are really creative. And you know, I think as you walk around and see the inmates, they're not scared to talk to you or intimidated, and because they've got a good thing here. They really do. It's prison. It is harsh at times, but if you want to better yourself, the Montana's giving people the opportunity to better themselves and never come back.
I buy my shirts. If I want shoes, I'll save up like 2 months and buy a pair of shoes.